The Watcher in the Woods, Part 3. Sarah knew she couldn't stay here. The creature was still out there, and it would come back for her. She forced herself to stand, her legs shaking as she stumbled back toward the cabin. The knife felt heavy in her hand, her only weapon against the monster that had taken her friend. She made it back to the cabin, locking the door behind her. She sat in the corner, her knees pulled to her chest, the knife clutched tightly in her hand. The hours dragged on, the darkness pressing in on her, the silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves outside. And then she heard it. The growl, low and menacing, just outside the door. The creature was back. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as the door began to rattle, the wood splintering under the force of the creature's blows. She gripped the knife tighter, her knuckles white, her breath coming in shallow gasps. The door burst open, and the creature lunged at her. Sarah screamed, slashing wildly with the knife. She felt the blade connect, heard the creature's howl of pain, but it wasn't enough. The creature knocked the knife from her hand, its claws slashing across her arm. She stumbled backward, her vision blurring as blood poured from the wound. The creature loomed over her, its eyes gleaming with hunger. And then, as if from nowhere, a gunshot rang out. The creature howled, its body jerking as the bullet tore through its chest. It stumbled backward, blood pouring from the wound, before collapsing to the ground. Sarah looked up, her vision swimming, to see a man standing in the doorway, a rifle in his hand. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice gruff. Sarah nodded, her body trembling as she collapsed to the ground. The man introduced himself as Tom, a hunter who had been tracking the creature for weeks. He helped bandage Sarah's wounds and explained that the creature was a Wendigo, a malevolent spirit that fed on human flesh. "It's a curse," Tom said, his eyes dark sorrow. "Once it takes hold of someone, there's no going back." Sarah listened, her mind reeling as she tried to process everything that had happened. She felt guilty for not being able to save Emma, guilty for surviving when her friend had died. But Tom's next words sent a chill down her spine. "The Wendigo. It's not just a creature," he said, his voice low. "It's a spirit that can possess people. Once it's fed, it can take over the body of its victim." Sarah's blood ran cold as she realized what he was saying. The indigo had fed on Emma, but it hadn't just killed her, had taken her. "No," Sarah whispered, tears streaming down her face. "No, it can't be." But deep down she knew it was true. The guilt she felt wasn't just for Emma's death, it was for what had happened afterward. And as she looked out into the forest, she saw a figure standing among the trees, its eyes glowing in the darkness. It was Emma. Chapter 6. The Return. Sarah tried to warn Tom, but it was too late. Emma, or what was left of her, lunged at him, her claws slashing through his chest. He fell to the ground, his blood pooling around him as the creature that had once been her friend turned its gaze on her. Sarah scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding in her chest. She grabbed the rifle, her hands trembling as she aimed it at the creature. "Emma, please," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "It's me, Sarah." But the creature didn't stop. It lunged at her, its claws extended, its eyes filled with hunger. Sarah pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, the bullet tearing through the creature's chest. It stumbled backward, its body jerking as it collapsed to the ground. Sarah fell to her knees, her body trembling as she looked at the lifeless form of her friend. The guilt consumed her, the weight of everything that had happened pressing down on her chest. She had survived, but at what cost?